Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified for my latest videos. As you all know, Square-1 is one of the most infamous and one of the most hardest events in Cubeshape history. You will run into lots of problems when learning how to solve it, and you will run into even more when trying to get fast at it. But exactly, what makes Square-1 so hard? Well, in this video, I will be covering some stuff that makes Square-1 one of the most infamous events in Cubeshape history, and what makes it so hard to learn. First off, let's learn about the restrictions of the Square-1. So on a normal 3x3 right here, we can do R moves, L, U, D, F, Z, and even slices. But on a Square-1 is pretty different. So on a Square-1, you can't do any F or B moves since you can't move this layer, or even this one. Instead you have to do something called a slash, which is a 180-degree turn with the R or L layer. You can do full U and D moves. And for the slash layer, you can only move it 180 degrees or 360. If you try to move it 90 or 270, then you can't move any of the U or D layers. Now the second hardest thing we'll be talking about is Cubeshape. So Cubeshape, as we all know, is the first step in solving the Square-1, making squares on both sides. So normally for beginners, Cubeshape isn't a hard step, because you just have to find pairs of 2, then get a U-shape on the top, do some algorithms to solve the U-shape, then Cubeshape is solved. For some Square-1 beginners, you might run into one minor problem. So you line something on one side of the Square-1, try and move it, but you can't, because on the opposite side, there's a corner that's blocking these from moving. So you have to do something so that both sides will be perfectly aligned, so you can move the side layers freely. If you don't want to be very intuitive in your Cubeshape, then you have to learn over 90 algorithms, one for each Cubeshape, since there are over 90 Cubeshape cases. If you want to become even faster at Square-1, you have to use this advanced thing called CSP or Cubeshape parity, which, as the name suggests, involves fixing parity errors on the Square-1 during the Cubeshape step. Another hard thing is Fingetricks. So for Square-1, you can use basic Fingetricks like this, this, but there are other Fingetricks that you can use to get faster, but they're also really hard to get used to. For example, this one right here. Basically use your index finger and you place it behind the front side to do a U flick. And it can be used for different algorithms like this. Another hard finger trick is when you do like a slash, then do a 6-0. So basically you have to use your index and middle to do a full 6-0. You can do something like this. You just have to stretch your hand all the way here, just like that. If you want to do double click, then you have to do this one. Or you can just do something like using your index finger twice to turn this layer. Another hard finger trick is something like this, with your entire hand, with some support of your wrist. So one example of using this finger trick is this case. Basically use the entire hand to turn this layer. In addition to all the advanced finger tricks, the difficulty of Cubeshape, and the restrictions on moving the Square-1, there are lots and lots of Square-1 algorithms, but there's no need to learn all of them. So as I said before, there are over 90 Cubeshape cases, 1 algorithm for each one. For EO, there are 8 cases. For CP, there are 9 cases, and 9 more if you want to avoid parity. And infamously, there are 99 EP cases. On Square-1, you might turn so fast that you lose your place during algorithm. So for example, for the CV term, I'm going to be turning so fast that I'll drop the cube and I don't know where I should go. Like that. So we see, due to my aggressive turning, I lost my place during the algorithm. And I have to go back to Square-1, hence the name. If you ever heard the idiom back to Square-1, if you mess up on something, then you have to start all over again. For beginners, if you have a hazy memory of an algorithm like the parity algorithm, you might do something wrong like this. Like you do something like this, and then this, and then you can't go back because you messed up on the Square-1. You have to go back to Square-1. You have to start to solve all over again. Speaking of parity, it would be a crime not to mention about the infamous Square-1 parity. So this is the parity for Square-1, and this is an adjacent swap, and I'll flip the equator. And you have to learn an incredibly long algorithm for this case, and it goes something like this. It'll take weeks for you to learn, execute, and master this algorithm. You will mess up on this algorithm a lot, and I can memorize it perfectly, and it's easy for me since I've been doing Square-1 for over 2 years. And this parity alg is even harder than those 4x4, OL, and PLL parity algs. So this is OL parity for 4x4. This is PLL parity. There are 2 incredibly long parity algs, one adjacent and one opposite, which I'm holding right now. So this is the algorithm for the opposite. So you hold them like this and do this algorithm. And it's okay if you use one algorithm only. So that is it for my reasons on why Square-1 is pretty hard. Comment down below your thoughts on Square-1. And I'd recommend you learning Square-1 because it's really challenging. But despite being really challenging, it can also be really fun. So definitely check out that event. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!